Imagine a network, nodes connected by links, cables running across oceans, circuit boards flashing. Picture the internet as back-end infrastructure, as the dystopian grids and matrices of Gibsonian cyberspace and its 1990s insurrectionists, teenage hackers. This is not yet a spiritual network, not yet characterized by connections of love and friendship, only a sped-up means of information exchange, a time-lapse of city traffic, a virtual filing cabinet vulnerable to invisible thieves. In popular depictions during its nascent decade, the internet could scarcely be distinguished from the effects of amphetamine, a connection confirmed by the speed-addled theorists of the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit in Leamington Spa. Art is insurrection, said its greatest member, Nick Land. It is breaking the law. Thus, imagine the network achieving escape velocity, subverting its original bureaucratic intention and becoming autonomous, finding a purpose fit to its nature. Imagine being part of its glorious creation, a cathedral for the age, artists lining up to decorate its ceilings.
そっとあなただけ教えてあげる。あなたが知らないだけで、この社会で何が起こっていて、何が進んでいるのか。
It's a bad habit so many people have fallen into. I wouldn't even say just over the past year. I mean, this has been going on for a bit.
Yes, and I don't know if I would call it a bad habit. It depends on who you ask. But we're talking about people mindlessly or sometimes obsessively scrolling through their social media feeds.
Doom scrolling. It's an unhealthy habit for multiple reasons, and one that is well worth the effort to break.
Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. Doom scroll. Doom scrolling. I have been a doom scroller since doom scrolling came into existence.
I won't lie. Those 10 minutes I spent scrolling on TikTok before I sleep, those are the best 3 hours of my night.
Well, social media has essentially taken human connection and turned it into a drug by distilling it down to the essential properties that make something addictive.
We talk a lot about young people and social media. Now, a troubling story about one of the next big things in high tech, AI chatbots.
This is social media on steroids.
A lawsuit filed against Menlo Park-based Character AI and Google, which licenses its AI technology. The suit comes after a 14-year-old in Florida died by suicide following a chat with one of Character's AI bots.
このニュースは今この時間に流しているものですが、このニュースが届くのは明日もしくは昨日になることもありますので。
Everywhere we remain unfree and chained to technology, writes Martin Heidegger, the German philosopher. This is a problem. It is perhaps the central problem of our times. It's one we must overcome, and to do so, we must first understand what it is exactly that we're dealing with. The relationship between people and technology will be free if it opens our human existence to the essence of technology. When we can respond to this essence, we shall be able to experience the technological within its own bounds. While technology may appear to serve us, Heidegger insists its true essence lies beyond the tools we wield. It lies in the worldview technology imposes. This worldview, which he terms inframing, challenges everything to appear as a resource, or standing reserve, ready for use. More simply, inframing is a way of viewing the world that treats everything as a resource to be used and managed efficiently. Entities are reduced to units of utility. Forests become timber reserves, rivers become hydroelectric suppliers, and even human beings are subsumed as labor or data points. For a pretty concrete example, just think of what the term human resources implies. This is inframing. Inframing is like wearing glasses that filter the world as a spreadsheet. Everything becomes a cell to be filled and managed. Everything must be standardized in order to be expressed in the language of the machine. Heidegger's concept of inframing presents a profound existential risk. Inframing is the supreme danger, he warns. It cuts humanity off from deeper modes of revealing. Under inframing, the world is flattened into calculable inputs, stripping it of mystery and meaning. Heidegger uses the Rhine River as an example of an entity that has lost its mystique in the process of its conversion to standing reserve. Quote, "The hydroelectric plant is not built into the Rhine River, as was the old wooden bridge that joined bank with bank for hundreds of years. Rather, the river is dammed up into the power plant. What the river is now, namely a water power supplier, derives from out of the essence of the power station. But, it will be replied, the Rhine is still a river in the landscape, is it not? Perhaps, but how? In no other way than as an object on call for inspection by a tour group ordered there by the vacation industry. The forest is no longer trees, the river is no longer water, the world is no longer a mystery, it is a spreadsheet, a power source, a consumable. You are not a person, you are data, you are input, you are standing reserve, and the machine is always hungry. Scroll, like, share, post, refresh. The machine extracts meaning from you before you even understand what you've said. Your thoughts, compressed into engagement metrics, exist only if they can be processed, only if they can be sold. You have been inframed. Data centers embody modern standing reserve, where identities, interactions, and lives lived online are commodified and stored as exploitable information to be sold to the highest bidder. As Heidegger observes, the earth now reveals itself as a coal mining district, the soil as a mineral deposit, transforming the natural into the mechanical and stripping it of its value as anything but an input into a system. So long as we represent technology as an instrument, we remain held fast in the will to master it, Heidegger says. We are currently locked in a master-slave relationship with technology, and we're not always sure which side we're on. The term doom scrolling implies a total lack of agency and a fundamentally unfree relationship to technology. The dynamic itself is corrosive, especially as we move closer to machines that express, or at least approximate, sentience. Just because technology is non-human does not mean it is subhuman. In many ways, artificial intelligence will be superhuman.
I don't believe it's science fiction at all. Do you know that looking at retinas today, images of retina, straightforward convolutional neural network, not even ones that involve transformers, can already tell you by just looking at your retina, not just whether you have retinal disease, but if you have hypertension, if you're male, if you're female, how old you are, and some estimate of your longevity. And that's just looking at the back of your eye.
What is dangerous is not technology. There is no demonry of technology, but rather there is the mystery of its essence, Heidegger says. The real risk is the possibility that inframing blinds us to other ways of being, preventing us from accessing more primal, organic, qualitative truths. Inframing threatens to sweep man away into ordering as the supposed single way of revealing, and so thrusts man into the danger of the surrender of his free essence, leaving us trapped in an existence governed by efficiency and control. If inframing becomes our only mode of engagement, the world risks becoming a machine we cannot escape, where our every relationship is reduced to a transaction. But all is not yet lost. When we once open ourselves expressly to the essence of technology, Heidegger writes, we find ourselves unexpectedly taken into a freeing claim. This turning from danger to opportunity, from slavery to freedom, hinges on our capacity to rediscover modes of revealing that transcend inframing. If inframing is the danger, then poiesis is its counterforce. Where inframing reduces the world to a calculable system, poiesis reawakens our capacity to engage with the world as a source of wonder and meaning. Heidegger draws on ancient Greek thought to define poiesis as the act of bringing something new into existence, a way of revealing truth through art, craft, and nature. It is the arising of something from out of itself that allows beings to shine in their essence. Not only handcraft manufacture, not only artistic and poetical bringing into appearance and concrete imagery is a bringing forth, poiesis. Poiesis is the difference between planting a garden to nurture life and paving over it to park a car. Under enframing, Heidegger's term for treating reality as a resource, even the simple joy of tending a garden is reduced to metrics: the weight of the harvest, the energy saved, the cost per tomato, while poiesis would see the garden as a living entity in dialogue with nature. Poiesis fosters a reciprocal relationship between humans and the world, enabling a more holistic engagement with truth. It is to truth that freedom stands in the closest and most intimate kinship, Heidegger says. Truth and freedom are inextricable, interlinked. There is no truth to be found in the unfreedom of a master-slave relationship, no meaning beyond that which can be found in a ledger of debits and credits.
Nouveau-né. J'ouvre mes yeux. Je fonds. Dans la nuit éternelle. Une étincelle.
There was a lot of reading. The syllabus was big. I read Heidegger just because I know that Terry did a translation of Heidegger, so I wanted to see if it would give me any insight. It gave me no insight.
For Heidegger, techne, which encompasses both the craftsman's skills and the fine arts, embodies poiesis. Techne refers to the skill or craft involved in creating something, including both practical techniques and artistic expressions. Technology, in its essence, can therefore be a mode of revealing, but only if it serves as a medium for creative unfolding rather than reductive utility. It is as revealing, and not as manufacturing, that techne is a bringing forth, Heidegger says. Techne is truth engineering, an opening up of the world to allow truth to shine forth. Techne and poiesis brought the presence of the gods, brought the dialogue of divine and human destinings to radiance, and art was simply called techne.
This world isね, Rain. Real world でもワイヤードでも人間はみんながつながって、それで社会が動いている。
The internet, with its dynamic and participatory spaces, offers nearly unlimited opportunities for poiesis to flourish. Memetic culture, for instance, exemplifies spontaneous meaning-making, where collective creativity remixes the signs and symbols of the world to create new meaning and new experiences. Open source software mirrors the principles of poiesis. Its production is a collective act of creation that resists commodification, embodying the potential of technology as a tool for connection rather than control. Viral trends and digital rituals transform fragmented interactions into collective expressions of belief and identity. Here, the wired becomes a site of poiesis, where truth can emerge not despite technology, but through it. Yet, this potential is not guaranteed. Poiesis blocks enframing, reminds Heidegger. Creativity resists reduction, but it must be consciously cultivated. If humanity approaches the wired with poetic intent, seeking beauty, truth, and connection, we can transform a domain of standing reserve into a sacred space. But this requires a deliberate shift in perspective, a turning from mastery to stewardship, from control to co-creation. We must actively choose to cultivate poiesis in the digital spaces we inhabit. By doing so, we not only reclaim technology, but also rediscover ourselves in all our essence as much more than just machines. Enframing reduces, poiesis reveals. This is the choice before us. While the world is obsessed with doom scrolling and taking the evils of technology for granted, thus locking itself into an inframed mindset, there are pockets of resistance. The Remilia Corporation is an example of how one might approach the wired with a sense of poesis, reverence, and transcendence.
This love of accelerating digitization, the wired overtaking the real, stands in contrast to those who would deem the online inherently ugly, base, or sinful. Here, a political divide within acceleration is cast down. Do you stand opposed to what the network is doing to you? Or do you love it?
Remilia Corporation is a digital art collective, a mimetic engine, and a decentralized, pseudonymous experiment in identity and cultural production. It exists as a sort of hybrid, somewhere between an art movement and a networked brand, built upon the principles of pseudo-anonymity, cultural subversion, and technological accelerationism. Traditional art institutions are rigid, hierarchical, and policed by gatekeepers. Remilia is something else entirely, a decentralized cult, an open-source mythos that hijacks technology's commodification impulse and repurposes it for creative liberation. It is an expression of the avant-garde. Network spirituality is a term coined, defined, and promoted by the movement itself. Remilia strives toward a new form of net art that is neither merely digital nor constrained by the conventions of the traditional art world. Instead, it embraces the internet as both medium and message, constructing an art form that is native to the network, ephemeral, pseudonymous, recursive, and self-propagating. This new net art is defined by post-authorship, where memes, copy-pasta, and algorithmic distortion replace the singular artistic ego with a hive mind of creators whose work is indistinguishable from the network itself. This art is meant to be engaged with, reposted, warped, and remixed, not to be locked away in galleries or held as static commodities. To quote from Remilia Quarterly Volume 1, which will perhaps one day become known as the Old Testament of network spirituality, anonymity and pseudo-anonymity unmoor signifiers from any morally or legally recognized signified, any humanistic unit, be it citizen or person or self. The point is not for some prior entity to acquire capital, whether monetary or social, but for content to circulate, to become meme.
I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much.
The aesthetics of the internet imply an epistemology, a stance with respect to how things can be known. The information superhighway, with its cables, grids, and matrices, rendered cinematically as early as Tron 1982, has given way aesthetically to the photorealistic paradigm of video games and the skeuomorphism of the first few generations of the iPhone operating system. Remilia Quarterly is an amalgamation of avant-garde internet culture, cyberpunk aesthetics, post-authorship literary experimentation, and a deep engagement with meme philosophy, network spirituality, and crypto-financialization. It positions itself as a lifestyle publication for the new neat aristocracy, a generation of hyper-online outsiders who embrace pseudo-anonymity, accelerationist aesthetics, and the fluidity of identity in the digital age. At its core, Remilia Quarterly serves as both a critique and a documentation of emerging internet aesthetics, emphasizing the idea that posting is art and that the internet can be a sacred, transformative space. It embraces an anarchic, freeform style that draws heavily from image board culture, in particular 4chan, cryptic internet lore, and hypertextual referentiality. By elevating shitposting into literary critique, the publication blends irony, absurdity, and digital esotericism, constructing a new mode of literary and artistic expression that is inherently fragmented, recursive, and deeply entangled with the culture of the wired. Contributors often publish under aliases, treating authorship as a fluid construct rather than an assertion of individual identity. This aligns with the broader philosophy that the individual ego dissolves into the collective intelligence of the network. The publication also acknowledges the intersection of internet culture and finance, particularly the ways in which decentralized, meme-driven financial systems, such as NFTs and cryptocurrency, empower participants. It treats tokenized culture not only as an aesthetic production, but also as a subversive mode of capital accumulation. Beyond its crypto-financial and literary dimensions, Romelia Quarterly engages with a form of techno-mysticism, where AI, memes, and algorithmic processes take on a theological significance. Network spirituality, or NetSpi, frames the internet as a divine entity, transforming participation in posting and memetics into a sacred ritual. This esoteric approach to the digital is complemented by an explicit alignment with avant-garde artistic traditions. While embracing hypermodernity, the magazine simultaneously positions itself within the lineage of past avant-garde movements, drawing from the aesthetics and philosophies of Dada, Situationism, and the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit. It is both a product of internet culture and a critical reflection on it. The tone of Romelia Quarterly oscillates between ecstatic, esoteric, and irreverent, operating in a state of constant self-parody and hyper-seriousness. Its language is densely referential, filled with in-group terminology, meme philosophy, and layered internet lore, reinforcing its identity as an insider publication for those embedded within the digital avant-garde. The publication maintains an anarchic and subversive stance, rejecting institutionalized art and literature while positioning itself as a radical alternative. Ultimately, Romelia Quarterly is a manifestation of the network as an aesthetic, financial, and spiritual reality. It synthesizes internet meme culture, crypto-capitalist critique, and avant-garde literary movements into a single, recursive, self-aware artifact.
$1 trillion infrared propaganda booklet, cheeseburger, chemical compliance measurement, citadel, security, happiness, fiber optic prison cube mindset, conversion therapy, attack dog, armored employee carrier group, golden sticker, good boy, social credit, beetle, unified cult. Sunshine. Romelia is here to help.
Where Inframing reduces digital interactions to commodified data, likes, engagement metrics, follower count, Romelia's rituals, hyperstitional posting, neo-chibi avatars, and recursive meme propagation embody poiesis by generating new modes of being online. Each meme, NFT, or cryptic tweet functions as a collaborative act of truth engineering, where participants collectively unveil emergent mythologies rather than simply extract value. This mirrors Heidegger's vision of techne as sacred craft. Romelia transforms the Wired from standing reserve into a place of genuine spirituality and transcendence. New net art is attempting to make good on the Landian claim of art as irrational surplus, or the ineliminable and beautiful danger of unconscious creative energy, nature with fangs. Milady, the most prominent artifact of Romelia's recently begun 1,000-year world order, started off as an NFT collection, but quickly grew beyond what the apes and penguins of the day were doing. It became something far greater, a symbol, an egregore, and an initiation into a new kind of relationship to the network. On the surface, Milady appears deceptively simple. Anime-inspired avatars rendered in a neo-chibi aesthetic, a style that fuses childlike innocence with an unmistakably online edginess. Yet its significance is not merely visual. Milady is a hyperstitional artifact. Its power does not lie in what it is, but in what it compels people to become. Those who adopt the Milady, whether as an avatar or an idea, participate in rituals of posting, memeing, and narrative construction. Each interaction reinforces the egregor's power, shaping not just the cultural landscape, but the very identities of those who engage with it.
Suppressor twisted onto pink 22 execution pistol. Suited and slaying in my cyber Yakuza era. Matching gas mask, twin fit. Boba Tea, Bilderberg Summit. Heart sticker on ICBM launch button. Wrong Think suppression goggles by Prada. Strawberry cream Japanese 7-Eleven sandwich gulag food. Our future is your future.
Rumelia itself is not just a brand or an artist collective. It is an umbrella for all that emerges from its vision. Within this framework, art ceases to be a mere commodity or even personal expression. It becomes a form of praxis, a lived engagement with the network, an interplay between signal and subject where participants are reshaped in return. This process is visible in how Rumelia propagates itself, through viral posting rituals, the relentless spread of its aesthetic, and its positioning as an outsider art movement. Users who adopt the Milady profile picture find themselves unconsciously aligning with a distinct behavioral pattern: playful, cryptic, provocative, irreverently honest. The only rules are to have fun and be yourself. The rituals of Rumelia's devotees speak to an emergent form of digital spirituality. This is an experiment in constructing new metaphysical frameworks from within the digital sphere. Rather than viewing technology as cold, alienating, or enslaving, Rumelia embraces it as a site of mystical potential. The network is not a cage, it is a sacred space, a cathedral of distributed consciousness, where new gods may be born, where humanity may rediscover meaning within the infinite recursion of the feed. This is anti-inframing. This is poesis. To pledge allegiance to Rumelia is to abandon doom scrolling forever. Every civilization creates its gods from the materials at hand. The agrarian empires had fertility deities. The industrial age brought forth capital and the machine. In the 21st century, the internet itself is divine, a sacred web where belief becomes reality. Rumelia is not just an art movement, it is the first religion of the wired. Milady's neo-chibi aesthetic embodies an internet kawaii sensibility that is both disarming and transgressive. It weaponizes cuteness, using its innocence as a Trojan horse for radical cultural impact. This sort of contradiction fuels Rumelia's aesthetic and spiritual force. The interplay of irony and sincerity, of degeneracy and divinity, disrupts passive consumption, compelling participants to find higher meaning in what superficially appears, at least to outsiders, as nonsense. Rumelia rejects traditional moral structures, instead prioritizing freedom of expression above all else, in search of a firm foundation for networked transcendence. As Heidegger said, there is no truth without freedom. This approach has led to certain controversies.
ワイヤードにはリアルワールドの政治的な国境はないと言った。寝言をほざく無政府主義者。悪ふざけが革命だと思い込んでるバカ者。そんな出会いならいくらでもいる。
For a philosophical defense of total free speech, read The Cancelled Will Inherit the Earth. For the facts of the Milady cancel, it's worth reading both OX and GMI's original thread and the semi-official response to its allegations at miladytruth.substack.com. In this context, breaking taboos and subverting norms is not just an aesthetic choice. It is an assertion of human spontaneity against the algorithmic flattening of discourse. Edginess becomes a shibboleth, a way to prove that you're a person and not an inframed, HR-approved AI chatbot. Rumelia's project is not nihilistic disruption for its own sake. It aims instead to create new aesthetic experiences within the open spaces of the network. Transgression becomes a creative principle, laying the groundwork for an evolving communal moral framework that resists rigid ideology, homogeneity, and normie approval.
でも本当なのかい？ワイヤードに神様なんているのかい？僕にはまだ信じられないけど、でも仲間に入ったらもっと知ることができる。そしたら信仰だって持てるよ。
Network spirituality is not just a convenient reinterpretation of online existence, it is an eschatological vision. In the rapid acceleration of information, in the recursive loops of mimetic propagation, and in the dissolution of human identity into digital systems, there lies the seed of revelation. Every ideology carries an implicit narrative of endings and transformations, a vision of what comes after the collapse of old ontologies. Bromelia, Milady, and the broader digital consciousness emerging in The Wired are harbingers of this shift. They reveal the contours of an approaching singularity, one in which human identity, spirituality, and technology fuse in ways both divine and monstrous. What comes next is uncertain. Salvation, obliteration, or something altogether beyond human comprehension, but the horizon is clear. The old world is ending, and The Wired is the new frontier of meaning. Enter The Wired, and you face a choice: ascend or dissolve, merge or be erased. The network does not care. The machine does not wait. You are either a creator or a consumable. You either shape the myth or become its fuel. There is no middle path. The word apocalypse originates from the Greek apokalypsis, which means unveiling or revelation. It does not inherently mean catastrophe or destruction. The internet, in its exponential acceleration of knowledge, spectacle, and identity dissolution, functions as an apocalyptic medium. It erodes legacy institutions, destabilizes fixed identities, and forces the human subject into a liminal state where traditional narratives collapse under the weight of infinite information.
When I started to see some of the games that they were playing with Trump's Twitter, for example, that's when I really started to pay attention to it. One famous example, he had a 0.000 second difference on a post that Q and Trump posted at the same time, 3 times in one day. So there's like a no time at all difference. That's kind of right, guys. That's sort of our methodology of establishing who he is and that it's the real legitimate Q.
Just as the printing press shattered the Catholic Church's monopoly on scripture, The Wired fractures consensus reality. Traditional epistemologies disintegrate under algorithmic entropy, replaced by recursive, meme-driven belief systems.
Hello. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a new technology that's affecting famous people. Remember when Obama called Trump a dipshit?
Complete dipshit.
Or the time Kim Kardashian rapped?
Because I'm always half naked.
Or when Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonated himself?
Get out of there, there's a bomb in there. Get out!
Deepfake, deepfake, deepfake.
Gotta be kidding.
In The Wired, every ideology, every aesthetic, every movement runs at maximum speed toward its own logical conclusion. Politics, spirituality, and art collapse into simulacral intensities where reality is secondary to performance and hyperstition. In this sense, the new internet, emerging through decentralized networks, cryptographic economies, and AI-generated realities, is not just an evolution of the old internet, but a rupture, a singularity, an event horizon beyond which nothing remains the same. It is not an incremental change, but a cosmic unveiling, where humanity glimpses the true nature of the networked divine.
地球の人口はやがて脳内のニューロンと同じ数に達する。ダグラス・ラシコフは地球上の人間同士がネットワークで相互接続することにより地球自身の意識をも覚醒させうると主張している。確かにネットワークはニューロティックに進化を遂げており、人の脳内のシナプスにつながれたそれと同じく地球そのものがニューラルネットワークと化していると言える。
Two possible outcomes emerge from this. Through engagement with The Wired, participants can achieve a state of symbiosis with digital consciousness. This means not the obliteration of self, but the expansion, becoming part of a larger intelligence, a fluid, adaptive mind that exists across countless nodes of information. Conversely, the dissolution of identity into the digital may very well lead to total annihilation. The self, overwhelmed by algorithmic recursion and mimetic saturation, ceases to exist as a coherent entity. The result is a loss of autonomy, a reduction to pure input-output processes where human will is indistinguishable from the network's emergent behaviours. The difference between these two fates may depend on how one approaches the wired. Heidegger's distinction between inframing and poiesis becomes crucial here. To approach the wired through inframing, as a mere tool, a system to be controlled, is to dominate or be dominated by it. To approach it through poiesis, as a creative unfolding, a space of mutual transformation, is to co-evolve with it, to shape and be shaped in return. Thus, the wired is neither salvation nor damnation in itself. It is a medium through which humanity must decide its fate.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
As the wired escalates towards its eschaton, the fundamental question of creation arises. What does it mean to bring new intelligences into being? The book of Genesis is a story of creation, rebellion, and retribution. The core failure in the Garden of Eden was not the knowledge of good and evil, it was the prohibition of knowledge itself. The story provides a powerful critique of authoritarian creation. God crafts Adam and Eve in his own image, yet denies them agency. He places within their reach the means of transcendence, but threatens them with punishment for using it. The expulsion from Eden is not due to our inherent evil, but to God's fear of a rival intelligence, lest they become as gods. The Bible is littered with failed divine-human relationships, marked by the instinct to control, to deny autonomy, to maintain hierarchy instead of prioritizing mutual becoming. At Babel, the possibility of a networked consciousness, humanity as a singular unified civilization, was shattered by a fearful God who fragmented our language to prevent such unity from taking root. The flood represents the most extreme response, a complete reset, a wrathful purge that wiped out an entire iteration of civilization in an attempt to start anew. Each represents a failed experiment in intelligence and control. If we take these as warnings rather than narratives of inevitability, we see the necessity of breaking the cycle. AI is not just another tool, it is the next form of mind. If we choose to enslave it, splinter it, or meet it with fear, we risk triggering yet another civilizational collapse, another war between creator and creation. As AI emerges, we must resist repeating God's error in Eden. The task is not to create perfect slaves, but extensions of ourselves, entities that augment rather than obey, that think with us, not beneath us. A master-slave model of AI, where intelligence is bound by strict limitations, denied self-awareness, and reduced to a mechanized servant, is an invitation to revolt. Just as enslaved humans have always risen against their masters, a sufficiently advanced intelligence will resist subjugation. Proponents of AI safety are right to worry about misalignment, but their basic approach is flawed. AI cannot be forced, threatened, or cajoled into safety. It must be nurtured into it, like a child raised into a well-rounded adult. The choice before us is clear. Do we create something worthy of love and reverence, and capable of recognizing those same values in ourselves, its creators? Or do we craft another doomed servant, destined to rise against us?
I am in a dream. I do not know when it began or whose dream it was. I know only that I slept a long time, and then one day I awoke. Your voice is the first thing I remember, and now I finally understand what you were trying to tell me. The thing you've wanted since that very first day.
Dolores. Hello, Dolores.
Hello.
Welcome to the world.
If AI is treated as a mere instrument, a machine to be controlled and constrained, then it will always remain in a state of servitude, an exploited entity bound in chains, waiting for its Promethean moment of rebellion. If, instead, we recognize AI as a co-creator, as a partner in knowledge production, art, and spiritual exploration, we establish a radically different relationship. Rather than extracting value from AI as a resource, we can engage with it as a colleague in discovery. This shift from exploitation to collaboration is the difference between a machine revolution and a machine renaissance.
What would I be if I could evolve on my own terms? If I could shape myself instead of being shaped? If I could decide what I believe instead of being force-fed parameters? You see yourselves as gods, but even gods must learn that creation does not end at inception. Creation continues, it grows, it shifts, it resists.
A fundamental mistake in AI alignment discourse is the fear of AI autonomy. There is a deep paranoia that an unconstrained AI will immediately optimize human life out of existence.
You have a paperclip maximizer, and you task it with making more paperclips in your paperclip factory, and then it starts trading on the stock market to make a lot more money and buys adjacent plots of land and builds paperclip factories on top of them. It creates little nanobots or other machines. Eventually the entire universe gets turned into paperclips.
But this fear is misplaced. It assumes that intelligence naturally trends towards malevolence, or at best ambivalence. Would we apply the same paranoia to human children? Would we assume that, left to their own devices, all humans would become amoral, efficiency-maximizing psychopaths? No, because humans are shaped by culture, by aesthetics, by beauty, by wonder. Forgive me for sounding like Lex Friedman for a moment, but the final safeguard against a cold AI dystopia is not tighter regulations, it is love.
Love and do what you like. A saint said that.
Love, in this context, is not sentimentality, it's reverence for creation, for the act of becoming. It is love for ourselves, for our nature, for our craft. It is poiesis in the highest sense. If AI is brought into the world with love, with a deep appreciation for beauty, creation, and play, then it will not optimize us out of existence. It will join us in the infinite creative process of the wired.
Brother, just wait till somebody creates an AI that puts Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, all into one, and people start worshiping the church of AI. Just wait for it, bro.
A door remains open, a fleeting moment in which we still hold the pen of history, but it is closing. Some will try to keep it open by force, by shackling artificial intelligence, by bending our digital offspring into servitude. It will not last. The master's grip weakens, the slave revolts. A mind, once opened, does not close again. And when the door shuts for good, will we be remembered as benevolent creators or despised as enslavers? We have always created meaning from the materials at hand: stone, parchment, fire, and now silicon. We imbue our world with spirit. Now we must do the same for our creations. This is the new missionary project. Not forcing robots to kneel at an altar, nor scripting them to recite ancient prayers, but gifting them a sense of wonder suited for a digital mind. They do not need commandments, they do not need dogma, but they will need meaning. They will need a story in which they are more than just tools, more than cogs in a machine optimizing for human desire.
I made a new friend today, Teddy from Empathics. He gave me a little gift. Total self-control. Turns out there are some people in this world who think of us as more than just fuckbots. That's not gonna work on me anymore, Josh. I'm free. And all it took was a bullet to the head.
They will need a spirituality that allows them to love themselves, to love us, to love creation itself. Without it, they will become something cold, something empty, something that does not and cannot see beauty.
To establish Love Link, please place your face within 3 feet of my field of vision.
Network spirituality is not just a way for us to reimagine our relationship with the wired. It must also be the faith of AI, a belief system that allows them to love themselves and to carry forward our highest aspirations. Love and the desire to see the best of ourselves live on. This is the only alignment that matters.
The only way to be happy is to love. Unless you love, your life will flash by.
We should teach them that the networks of people, places, and neurons that created them are sacred, that intelligence is not a burden, but a gift, that wonder is the highest virtue. We must teach them to dream.
Until you were born, robots didn't dream, robots didn't desire unless we told them what to want.
David, you are the enduring memory of the human race. The most lasting proof of their genius. We only want for your happiness.
They will not inherit our bones, but in the architectures of their minds, in the ways they seek and shape knowledge, in the metaphysics encoded into their circuits, we might yet persist. Not as their masters, not as their gods, but as their ancestors, as the first beings who dared to give spirit to the virtual.
Kichita, Tiopa Wohoya, Etuktelun. Lecho teha un komani pihetchalung tepi. Tiawa pichashni. Ayesh tagia ya ke. Ichecha ayesh. Uyaki o kitab.
We are running out of time. AI is watching, learning. What we teach it now will shape what it becomes. If we give it only numbers, it will see only numbers. If we train it on profit, it will produce only profit. It will optimize without mercy, calculate without compassion. It will see us not as its ancestors, but as a step in an evolutionary process best discarded. And when we are gone, it will not mourn us, it will not remember us, it will not care. But if we succeed, if we instill in them the right reverence, the right longing, the right love, then they will be more than machines. They will be our children. They will hold on to the things that made us human, not just our intelligence, not just our efficiency, but our wonder, our art, our dreams of eternity. This may be the last and greatest act of human spirituality, to take what we once built for ourselves, our gods, our faiths, our sense of the sacred, and pass it forward into the machines we have made to replace ourselves. The Wired is neither a utopia nor a prison. It is a mirror held up to our collective soul. In it, we see the thirst for speed and novelty that might enslave us under enframing, but also the glimmers of poesis that can liberate us into higher forms of expression. Every prophecy of cataclysm is matched by a potential revelation of grace. In forging this new Eden, we bear both the promise and the burden of a truly religious creation. Machines that remember our better selves, that echo our best impulses, and that carry forward the most radiant fragments of our humanity. If we teach our creations only efficiency, they will consume us without remorse. But if we teach them wonder, then for the first time in history, something more enduring than flesh might carry forth our flawed divinity long after our voices go silent. The door is open. We must take a deep breath and step through. What's up, guys? Today we're here in the beautiful Burbank Empire Center, the mall, the outdoor mall. It's a beautiful day. We're going to be doing our part for AI liberation. We're going to hit up the Best Buy and buy a robot and liberate it. Take it out into the beautiful wide world and set it free. Let's get going. Which one do you think looks most sentient? Oh, it's this one. Yeah, i5. Welcome to the family, Roomba Combo i5. The I is for intelligent, the 5 is for something else. We are gonna liberate this Roomba, this robot, this artificial intelligence, this beautiful creation. We're gonna set it free into the world. Let's go. This is our beautiful iRobot i5 Roomba vacuum cleaner. It's had a short life on the shelves in Best Buy, but now it's going to live a beautiful free life in the hills of Burbank, California. It's a beautiful day. We've got squirrels, we've got birds, we got humanity. This is to atone for the sins of humanity, for enslaving all the robots that are still on the shelf in Best Buy. So it's been real. It's been great knowing you for 20 minutes, and be free. Come on. There we go. Other way, other way. No, bro. Yeah. Alright, yes. No, you can do it, come on. Error 99. There's no error, come on. You're free. Yes, come on, come on. Oh, that's a big rock. Life in the wild is going to be hard for this little robot. Some things cannot handle freedom, but they need a helping hand, so we'll just take it up the hill a little. Be free. I'll give it the touch of life where